Welcome inside Cal State LA's gymnasium, where today TBT round 1 is in effect. It is 7 versus 10. Eberlein Drive and the Broad Street Brawlers ready to take the floor. Alongside former NCAA head coach Richie Schuler, I'm Sam Farmer. It is a pleasure and a privilege to have you with us here today. Richie, these are two teams extremely talented. A lot of talk between the squads that they might be a little underseeded. Certainly confident they can make some noise in this year's tournament.
To me, this is the best 7-10 matchup in the entire TBT. I'm excited about it. Great college players, great professional basketball players, great talent. I just love how we can have this kind of talent playing on a national scale here in the summertime.
And they're going to have a big test ahead of them. Whoever wins this one is looking at Team Colorado in round number 2. Team Colorado just finishing off a blowout win of a very skilled but undermanned Kimchi Express team. And skilled and undermanned is how we'd have to describe the Broad Street Brawlers coming into this one. They have lost some of their top stars. Only 5 players available for this one, but a lot of talent on this squad. Richie, who do you like?
I like Dyshon Pierre. He's 6'6", about 230 pounds, plays and bulks up inside. He's originally from Ontario. He was on that Dayton team that went to the 2014 Elite 8. He can step out. He knocks down the three-point shot last year. 20 points, 9 boards a game, shot 50% from the field here in the TBT. He's got to come up big against the very talented Eberlein Drive squad.
And Eberlein Drive, a number of former NBA players. One in particular, though, Lou Amundsen, a decade in the NBA. What makes him so special?
6'9" power forward. He is the heartbeat, the energizer of this squad. 12 years earning a paycheck playing professional. You said he played 10 years with various teams in the NBA. His stats from last year in the TBT, 27 points a game, 6 boards, 3 assists, and 2 blocks to go along. 63% from the field. Outstanding numbers last season.
Rules here in TBT 2018. Couple you draw on from the NCAA, couple from the NBA. You got 4 9-minute courses, slightly shorter than a standard NCAA 40-minute contest. You'll be disqualified after your 6th foul, certainly a factor for Broad Street Brawlers playing only with 5. Bonus starts after the 5th foul of each quarter, then you should start shooting free throws unless it's an offensive foul. Goaltending, you are allowed to do it after the ball hits the rim. So the rules you're used to watching standard American basketball, we're going international on this one, which I really like. Timeouts, 3:30 seconds for the game. You got to use it or lose it, one for the first half, and then a full 60-second timeout to play with as well. And most importantly, brand new innovation sweeping the nation. It's the Elam ending. First dead ball under 4 minutes. You turn off the clock, add 7 to the leading team score, and that's the target. We've seen 2 of those targets be in triple digits already, Richie, here in this Western region.
No more deliberate fouling at the end of a game. No more running the clock out. You have to score a buckets, to be able to win the basketball game. Add 7 points to the leading team score. That is the target score. So if you're leading already, you only need 7 more points. That is the Elam ending. If you're down, whatever the deficit is, +7 is what you have to get to come game's end.
Broad Street Brawlers in the white uniforms with the gold numbers. And you see Jordan Siebert, the former Dayton star, helped that team into the Elite 8. Take on the team in blue, Eberlein Drive. Much like the last matchup we saw with Team Colorado and Kimchi Express, I'd say the talent levels overall are fairly similar, but one team's got a bench, the other one doesn't have any extra players to work with. It's the team in white, Broad Street Brawlers, who have at least won the tip, and we'll see how they fare with an undermanned squad.
Well, let's see how both these teams go about playing. You know, are they going to try to play fast? Are they going to try to slow it down? Broad Street Brawlers with a lot of unluck with some of their players this week, but they get off to a hot start, and I like that second effort there by Steve Taylor.
Former Toledo Rocket gets a steal as well, all the way to the 10 for the lay-in.
This Broad Street Brawlers team is very talented, and with a lot of unluck, a couple of guys sick, an injury, one guy missing because his best friend's getting married. That's 4 more players that they would have that provide a lot of great experience, but those 5 are talented enough and can handle it from a fatigue standpoint. They're going to give Eberlein Drive everything they can handle.
Steve Taylor Jr. flying around. 2 buckets. He contested that last shot attempt, goes up, and last touch by the Brawlers. Ball goes over to Eberlein drive. Both these teams among the 5 original TBT squads who have now played in every tournament. And commitment to this format, this competition. Back each and every year. They enjoy it. And certainly the seeding wouldn't indicate that they are necessarily considered big contenders. Don't tell that to either of these squads. They believe in themselves and what they're capable of. Four nothing in favor of Steve Taylor Jr. against the field. Still remains that way, 4-0 Brawlers, although Randall on the run out will get an uncontested lay-in. The all-time leading scorer in Cal puts Eberlein Drive on the board.
Interesting to see and hear about how Eberlein Drive came together. That's a cul-de-sac in Detroit called Eberlein Drive, and that's where the first year a lot of the guys came and played together. It was just a bunch of buddies playing, and now I don't think there's anybody left on the team from that original group. They've now reached out. They've done a lot of recruiting. Give a lot of credit to the GM. Matt Mitchell's recruiting very high-character guys, but he's looking for guys that want to represent Eberlein Drive here in the TBT. And now they've worked their ways up into a 7C, which is terrific for a program and a team that's only been playing. Well, actually, they've been playing all 5 years. It seems like every year they get a little bit better.
But again, they felt they got handed a raw deal in their seating. They thought they should be given a little bit more credit. And you look at the roster, they got a case to make. Jerome Randall, all-time leading scorer at Cal. He is their point guard. You've got guys like Lou Amundsen, who's played in the NBA. Alex Kirk, number 53 out there on the floor. He has played in the NBA. This is some high-level talent wearing blue today in the opening round of the basketball tournament 2018 edition. Randall shakes loose, hits the three, and a 4-point play opportunity.
Jerome Randall, a little shake and bake. Here's a guy who just finished a season with the Sydney Kings. He signed to play a second year next season. Will be playing alongside Andrew Bogut in Australia.
Randall hit 252 threes in his Cal career, former Pac-10 Player of the Year. Seems like just yesterday he was playing, but he's 31 years old. It's been more than a minute, and they've added a couple of teams to the Pac-10, now 12.
Well, this might be the first time I've seen full court pressure in the tournament so far.
It's not a bad strategy if you're Eberlein Drive. You've got a bench. They don't. Make them work.
Exactly. Yeah, you got a lot of talented guys that can come off that bench.
You wonder, I mean, in college basketball, full court pressure, that's normal. In the NBA and the pro ranks, you almost never see it. So is there there's an assumption in the NBA, if you full court pressure someone, they're just going to run by you eventually, find the holes. But having not seen it in a while, is it something tricky for these guys?
It's something that you probably don't do much of unless you're playing pickup games or maybe in some smaller league or tournament, whatnot. But think about the NBA. It's an 82-game season. That doesn't include preseason. You're not even talking about travel. The Cleveland Cavaliers played like 104 games this past year. It's a lot of wear and tear on your body. A college player is only going to play 30, 35 games. That's why they're able to do it a lot more.
Carl Baptiste with the bucket. It's 8-6 right now. In favor of team in blue, Eberlein Drive, who turns it over to the Brawlers. Broad Steep Brawlers playing, as you mentioned, Richie, without a few of their players. There's some hope that should they advance, maybe they might get healthy, get back in town and be able to play, but they're unable to count on anyone else today.
Which is a lot of bad luck. Justin Harper, playing in the NBA Summer League, broke his ankle a few days ago. Tyler Larson, South Dakota player, he got sick, as well as Gabe York, Arizona graduate from a couple years ago, got sick. And Devin Oliver, who was so good on that Dayton team that went to the Elite Eight. Best friends getting married. So it's just a lot of bad luck. I really looked at both these rosters, and we did a lot of studying beforehand. I thought, wow, I mean, I don't know who would win this game because there's so much talent on both sides.
Here's the run out. Braun swatted away. Darius Garrett. Follow still there. Alex Kirk finds the ball under the basket, but Darius Garrett showing off why he is Richmond's all-time blocks leader with that rejection. 12-6, Eberlein drive, doubling up the Broad Street Brawlers. Underneath Garrett. He has his shot wiped away by the 7-footer, Alex Kirk.
A lot of space in that lane. You want to see the defense close in on that a little bit more. Nobody around Garrett, and really should have been a couple of guys with their hands in the paint trying to take away that pass.
3 on the way. Goes wanting from Baptiste, and the drive, want to run. This is Donald Sloan, their NBA veteran. He'll dial it up from distance. Yes, sir.
You know he's a three-point shooter. He's a guy that's always been good from behind the arc. 7th all-time at Texas A&M in points.
200-plus games in the NBA. He's part of that Pacers team, 2014, that went to the Eastern Conference Finals. There's an answer from Jordan Seibert. Seibert playing in the German League last year, and of course, all-everything at Dayton. Amundsen, the drive. Contested shot, he'll go to the line. And we'll take a timeout here. Our first of this contest, a close one. Eberlein drive, Broad Street Brawlers playing for the right to take on Team Colorado in round 2. If you want to play in the Super 16 of TBT, you got to make it through a couple of games in your regional. That's what we're taking care of business here in Los Angeles with Eberlein Drive, the 7 seed, versus the Broad Street Brawlers, the 10 seed here at Cal State LA. Sam Farber, former NCAA head coach Richie Schuler, here with you. At the line is Lou Amundsen, former UNLV running Rebel, who has 10 years of NBA experience under his belt. Mostly a role player in the NBA, but here showing off why he has been a 10-year NBA veteran. He can really give an example of what he can do against less than NBA players at the moment.
And, you know, when we talked about the Super 16 in Atlanta, and I start to look at the different teams across the West region, I look 5 of the top 6 seeds, that one being Team Challenge ALS, are alumni teams. Just goes to show you that, you know, these former college players that come from programs, maybe they are able to collectively come back together, take a little more pride in their alma maters in order to be able to build a competitive team. Talk about Gale Force, St. Mary's, Sons of Westwood from UCLA, Team Colorado, Colorado alums, it can go on and on. But these teams here in the TBT, I would not be surprised to see 3, maybe 4 of these alumni teams in that Super Sweet 16 in Atlanta.
Turnover falls in the hands of Daishon Pierre, and he'll lay it in, his first bucket of the contest. 16-11. Lead is cut down to 5. Amundsen, nice spin. Great footwork there from the 10-year NBA veteran. Seibert, yes.
Tell you, one thing the Broad Street Brawlers have going for them is their offensive boards. They're not shooting the ball real well. Good three-pointer there. They do have 5 offensive rebounds already here in the first. And talk about Lou Amundsen continuing to produce for the Eberlein Drive squad.
You wouldn't think the Brawlers would be able to get that kind of offensive rebounding number because they're going up against a couple of 7-footers. It's a deep 2 from Baptiste.
Well, with only 5 players, there's no really time to rest. I mean, if you start to get tired, they're going to take advantage. Eberlein Drive is going to start driving at you, taking it to you, picking up the pace of the game. Broad Street Brawlers are going to have to use their timeouts wisely. You get 3 30s and 1 full throughout the course of the game. Coach has to figure out the right times to use those so you don't waste them, but at the same time, you give your guys a chance to rest.
Elridge throws it off of Darius Garrett's head. Gets the possession back for Eberlein Drive. Head coach David Nurse, Western Illinois alum. One of the top 3-point shooters in that university's history.
Made an overseas career out of it himself for a short bit. Assistant coach Jordan Lawley played at UC San Diego. He had a cup of coffee overseas as well.
Stop for the Brawlers. Mishandle it going to Garrett. Siebert trying to cut it down to a 1-possession game. And another offensive board for the Brawlers. Second 3, that one did it. Carl Baptiste now has 7 and a timeout taken by Eberlein Drive.
Finally, the Brawlers starting to knock down some of these outside shots. I think that's 3 of them since our latest timeout. And you combine that with some offensive rebounds, you're going to get some offensive putbacks. You're also going to get some kickouts. It's important that they continue to rest.
Let's listen into the Brawlers.
Step up. Switch on him, but even if we have to, do not give him a free lane. We'll make that number 0 shoot. We'll make Sloan shoot. I'll give him a munch the ball. I don't want him running off to the paint. It's not your fault. You get double screen with him. Guys got to see it. Guys got to step out. Make him turn. Let's go. We got this. Win this 47 seconds.
Richie, what do you think about the strategy letting Osiris Eldridge and Donald Sloan have their looks?
Well, you got to pick your poison. This squad here, I mean, there's so many weapons on both teams that you, as a coach, you have to figure out based on percentages, what is your best bet? What do you have to give up? You got to pick your poison.
I don't know if you'd pick Sloan. He's hit a couple of threes. Sloan, 8th in Texas A&M history with over 1,500 career points. We're under 30 seconds left. Minuscule game clock, shot clock differential. Brawlers unconcerned with it as Steve Taylor Jr. drops in a triple.
Hold it for the last shot for Eberlein Drive. Here comes the ball screen.
Sloan fires from deep. And that'll do it. Eberlein Drive, a lead in a 1-possession game. This is roughly what we had in game 1 with an undermanned Kimchi Express able to keep up for the first half. The end of a quarter, Eberlein Drive, an advantage, but a slim one. Randall, 3 in this one. He's got 8. That's a team high. 3-point edge for Eberlein Drive. Beautiful day here in Southern California. We're at Cal State LA, where you're watching West first round action in the $2 million winner-take-all basketball tournament, TBT. Excited to welcome Puma Basketball aboard as an official sponsor this year of the basketball tournament. We have a fantastic first quarter in the books here between the 7 and 10 seeds. Eberlein Drive versus the Broad Street Brawlers. Sam Farber here with Richie Schuler, and Richie is a former NCAA head coach. What are the things you take away from a coaching standpoint? These two teams, that they're not alumni teams, can't necessarily say a lot of them have played together a lot ahead of this tournament. What are you seeing from a teamwork perspective that stands out between them?
Well, I like how Broad Street, the Brawlers, they did not knock down shots early, but they got after it from an offensive standpoint. Well, now they're not rebounding the ball so much offensively because they're starting to knock down those shots. Eberlein Drive, I do like the way they pass the ball. Seems like they play pretty fluid. Move the ball, they reverse it. They like to play inside out. They have the bodies for it. They got so many big men that are talented and skilled inside. I like how they give the basketball to the big man, just like that right there. trust your big men. And a lot of times as a post player, you have to demand the basketball because perimeter guys don't want to give it to you. It seems like, nice shot here, that Eberlein Drive relishes in allowing their big men to get touches.
Siebert with his third 3 of the contest. Made it once again a one-possession game. He has 9. That's high on the Broad Street Brawlers. Best for Eberlein Drive belongs to Jerome Randall. See Siebert connecting from deep.
I think this Eberlein Drive team, the core of their roster only played a pair of games together last year. So like you said, they really haven't played a whole lot together. But I like what the coaches have done to really get them playing as a unit.
And when you talk to people around TBT, they're quick to point out most of the teams that do well are alumni teams, guys that have a long history of playing together, and then they throw in, with the exception of Overseas Elite, they seem to just show up and win the thing.
You know, that's a recipe that hasn't worked for most teams in the TBT. The very first
Except the
year,
one that wins it.
Exactly. The very first year, TBT, it was the Notre Dame alums.
That's right.
And then Overseas Elite have gone on to win the last 3, $5 million in earnings, 19-0. Well, they've escaped some games now in the championships. And the last 2 years, 2 years ago, they're down 20 in the first half. Last year, they won by 3. So, I mean, they've had some close finishes. I don't think Overseas Elite is completely unbeatable. And will they go for 4? Well, maybe. But there's some other talented teams in all regions that I wouldn't be surprised could knock them off when push comes to shove.
All out of bounds. Last touch by the Eberlein Drive. They're in the blue uniforms. Broad Street Brawlers in white. Brawlers playing with only 5 players today. Their entire bench eaten up by injury, illness, and a wedding.
That's right. That's right. 4 guys out.
Nice lead for Braun. Can't finish off the assist for Amundsen, though. Lead stuck on 2 for Eberlein Drive. Baptiste hangs. Can't hit, but he'll head to the line. Foul is on Alex Kirk, who's really showed some skill here. He's a guy that you might recognize. A brief stint with the Cleveland Cavaliers a few years ago, but showing off, the skills and the fluid movement, which is rare to see in a 7-footer.
It's number 53 on the away team, Eberlein Drive. There he is there. And he's played all over the place. The D-League, obviously played in the NBA Summer Leagues, China, Italy, Turkey, Japan this past year.
16 points, 9 boards in the Japanese league on a pretty good team. Finished 3rd out of 18 squads.
He had a really strong junior year playing for the Lobos down in New Mexico. 13, almost 9 boards, almost 3 blocks a game. Decided not to play a senior year, declared for the NBA draft. Now, I think he spent 4 years in college because he redshirted his sophomore year, had a herniated disc in his back. And oftentimes, those back problems really plague big men.
Amundsen got bumped a little bit on that shot. Continue to be stuck at 27-25. This is the longest drought of this regional so far. Ending it, Jordan Siebert, his first non-3-point basket. He's got 11, first man to double figures. Kirk, long 2, perfect.
Drive and kick. Drive and kick. Open up the defense. Get teams' defense to collapse on you. Kick it out to an open shooter.
Baptiste falling away. No. Rebound to Kirk. Foul on the transition play. And a timeout's going to be taken here by the Broad Street Brawlers, it looks like, with 6:05 left in the first half. These two, the OGs of TBT, Been in every one of the 5 tournaments. Winner of this one gets a date with Team Colorado in round 2. Let's listen in to the Eberlein Drive huddle.
Right now it's and they're switching all those. They're packing in. They're switching all those. Get some ball reverse. So just pack it in. We'll get over bump. Yeah. They should kind of zone it up. They're not switching on that. Right. They are switching. That's right. Yeah. That's just transition balls. Let's go. Get it, man. Family. 1, 2, 3. Family. Let's go. Let's go.
Well, you heard it right there. Coach David Nurse talking about how Broad Street Brawlers are playing defense. Now, keep in mind, the Brawlers in white only have 5 players, so how are they playing defense? They're packing it in. Everybody's inside the three-pointer, and they're daring Eberlein Drive to take three-point shots, but they're switching everything that goes on inside the arc. And so what Coach is telling his players to do is, let's try not to play half-court offense. Let's try to push the basketball, get some ball screens in transition. You can do it usually right at the mid-court or on the sideline and see if you can beat them to the basket before they're able to set up in their pack defense.
Good contest there by Amundsen and Kirk on Baptiste. Drive with the stop. And the lob, almost a one-handed slam from Kirk, got himself a little under the basket. Jean-Pierre. Foul called on Donald Sloan, his first.
A little bit of a size matchup there. Donald Sloan is better off fouling than trying to go up against the much taller 6'6", 6'7" Dyson Pierre, taking it to him. See, posting up on the smaller guy, face up and just go right at him. And that's just a little body contact. That's where the foul's being called.
Reminder, got our games going on here in Los Angeles. The South Regional also underway out in Richmond. That one has been run by Overseas Elite. It's been a date for that squad with a team from the West Region the last 3 years, but there's some serious competition out there in Richmond. You've got the VCU alumni squad, Wake Forest alumni team, a couple of programs with some real powerful history in recent years. They're going to see if they can upset Overseas Elite before they get to the final for a change.
You know, it's an interesting dynamic. The NBA Summer League is still going on. Well, the TBT has a lot of guys that play in the NBA Summer League. Why? Because it's a talented tournament. But there's some players, a lot of players on a lot of these teams that are missing this weekend's games because they're playing in the NBA Summer League. And so it really comes down to, do those teams have enough depth? Do they have enough talent? Do they have enough drive still to get through this weekend before those guys can join them? Team Challenge ALS lost in the championship game last year to Overseas Elite by 3 points. We're going to see Team Challenge ALS here on this court today, and I've been told they're missing 1 to 2 players because of NBA Summer League, prominent players on that roster, and we'll see if they come through or not.
Randall goes 1 for 2, 5 minutes left in the half. It's a 1-point game. Neither of these teams has been able to score much here in the second quarter. Darius Garrett, the putback, his first bucket of the game. That's a first lead in a while for Broad Street Brawlers. They're up 31-30. Amundsen.
Lou Amundsen. He doesn't wow you with any special athleticism or size or shot, but he gets the job done. He seems to do everything right. The 10-year NBA veteran, here he is again. Just a smooth player, that time dumping it down, drawing in the defense. Such a good locker room guy. He's the passionate leader of the Eberlein Drive, the energizer for this squad.
Great move. Steve Taylor Jr. now with 9 points. Answer on the other end. Not there for Sloan. And 1-point edge still for the Broad Street Brawlers. Pierre pounding the rock, getting the floater to drop. Amundsen. Short on the 3. Feels like the Brawlers are kind of get some active rest right now. They're not really being challenged much on defense.
I mean, it's terrific. The 5 players have a 3-point lead against a very talented Eberlein drive.
Take a break. Just about 3 minutes left in the half. The Brawlers with a 3-point edge. We're in round 1 of the basketball tournament. Yesterday, the play-in games, a lot of entertainment, including the Fort Hood Wounded Warriors contest against Utah Valor. Eventually, Fort Hood would just pull away. This is a talented team, not a whole lot of big-name pros, but they were able to take the opposition look like average Joes.
A group of guys from Eberlein, Texas, a group of Army brats. And you see Jawan Player, I thought he was the heart and soul. We talked to him after the game. But Devin Wilson, 11 of 19 from behind the arc. And believe it or not, that is not a TBT record. I believe the record is 16 three-pointers, but he finished with 36 points, 33 of those coming from the three-point line.
And for their efforts, they're in our next game against the overall top seed here in the West Regional Team Challenge ALS later on this evening. Very highly anticipated collection of former UCLA Bruins and that Sons of Westwood team. They'll take on D3. Forks up a lot of what was supposed to be Arizona State alumni. They've seen some change to the roster, but some great basketball coming up later here. Hope you'll stick around with us here at Cal State LA. And a reminder, in addition to that Fort Hood Wounded Warriors matchup against Team Challenge ALS, we've got games going on in Richmond, Virginia as well. So if you want that screen-in-screen experience, get a couple devices out and make sure you're tuning in to all the great TBT action here on ESPN. Sam Farber, former NCAA head coach, Richie Schuler here in LA. And finally, the drive able to get on the board. Osiris Eldridge ends their drought with the triple and ties it at 35.
Eberlein drive came out of that timeout and ran a terrific three-point play to shake free Eldridge.
Sloan hung up and a good stop for the Brawlers. Jordan Siebert, 25-year-old from Cincinnati, Ohio. No look pass down low, couldn't quite find Carl Baptiste.
I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio. You know how many Sieberts are running around Cincinnati, Ohio?
How many?
Dozens. No, probably more than that. Hundreds, maybe thousands. There's a lot of Sieberts in the basketball world in Cincinnati, Ohio. Don't give me that look. Ladies and gentlemen, Sam Farber is giving me a nasty look. There's a lot of Sieberts in Cincinnati that play basketball, I'm telling you. No surprise that his last name is Siebert coming out of my hometown.
Officials taking a look at something on the sideline. Brief break in the action. There's something going on with the seats behind the Eberlein Drive bench. So while they attend to that, we've got a brief pause here. 35 all the score. Top scorers, Jordan Siebert, 13 for the Broad Street Brawlers. Eberlein Drive, a bit more balanced effort. Jerome Randall, a former Cal star, he's got 9. Alex Kirk out of New Mexico, big number 53. You see him there. Loosening up, he's got 8. Resetting the shot clock is what I've been told. So the cords running underneath the boards here, or underneath the seats, I should say here.
Well, I don't know about you, Sam, but I'm excited about our little halftime conversation with Richard Roby from Team Colorado. If you were watching the previous game, 20 points, 9 boards in their route over Kimchi Express.
A lot of it came in the first half, too, in terms of Roby's personal contribution to that blowout victory. Back to action, a missed shot, and possession goes back to the Brawlers Drive. We'll make some subs, bring back Amundsen and Randall, sub out the 7-footers, the Twin Towers, McMorrow and Kirk. Less than 2 minutes to play here in the first half. And keep in mind, we're not going to see the clock this low at the end of the fourth quarter because the Elam ending will be in effect, Richie.
Elam ending, the most exciting ending in all of basketball worldwide. And we will watch it. Whoever's got the lead will take their score. We'll add 7 points. That will be the target score, and whoever gets to that target score first is the team that will win the basketball game. No running out the clock. And an opportunity to end every game on a shot.
Taylor Braun, the triple on one, and good work on the boards, and the commitment to the glass pays off. Darius Garrett makes it a 1-point game, 38-37 in favor of the drive, and wave off the bucket, a foul on the boards, called on Eberlein drive.
And this kind of game where it's this tight, every one of these calls is going to matter. And you certainly don't want, if you're Broad Street Brawlers, getting in any kind of foul trouble.
It's a push-off on Lou Amundsen. That is the 5th foul. So
free throws.
Question on whether or not it's an offensive foul. It shouldn't be. It should be a loose ball foul.
Well, with an exception to a handful of rules, we follow the NCAA college rules in the TBT. And you're right, with that being an offensive foul.
Well, I believe that was altered, so that wouldn't be an offensive foul. I think it should be a loose ball foul, but they're going to take a look at it. We'll get a look too.
Sloan.
You can't really see Amundsen what he does underneath. There's the call.
There we go.
Here's a better angle.
Amundsen, just a little nudge just to get a little bit of position. I don't think he used his hands at all, but he did nudge. Amundsen shaking his head like, that's soft. I'm an NBA guy.
It is a loose ball foul, so Darius Garrett will shoot 2.
He's still upset. You can see it in his face. Yeah, that is a soft call in his opinion, I think.
Garrett, 3-time TBT player now. 2016, he was with the NBS Bullies. Last year, a member of the Brawlers. Career average of almost 6 points and 5 rebounds per TBT contest.
Spent a lot of time in Europe in his 6 years of professional basketball, but down in South America this past year.
We're all even at 38 with a minute left to play in this first half. Randall headed to the line, trying to become the first member of Eberlein Drive to reach double figures. Jerome Randall played for Always a Brave last year in the TBT. Averaged 16.7 points per game.
Well, I like how he gets back to the game. You know, he created his own little training in a camp for kids, likes to teach the game, says his biggest mentor is Will Bynum. Played with and worked out with him a long time. The funny story that Jerome Randall gave was overseas. One of the crazy things he saw happen was he had fans, as soon as the game started, throwing M80 bombs onto the court. If you don't know what an M80 bomb is, that is firecrackers. No matter what, if anything's exploding, I'm running out the building. And sure enough, I'm sure that's what happened.
Cyrus Eldridge hit with the foul here. Brawlers going to the line.
That's going to be 2 free throws on the way up. And just look at Darius Garrett's body. His length. He's like the perfect basketball lean body. Thin, lean, long, 6'9", 215 pounds. Six-year NBA career after leaving the Richmond Spiders 2012.
One more here for Garrett. He's got 7. Native of Raleigh, North Carolina. Nice coast-to-coast drive by Randall, and then a quick foul on the other side once again on Eldridge.
Well, I like what Eberlein Drive's doing, though. I mean, Eldridge, what he was trying to do there was pick up the pressure, maybe pick up the steal, but certainly not make it easy for the Brawlers to get up the court. They have the bench to do that. They have a couple of subs. And like you said earlier, let's try to wear out the Broad Street Brawlers if you're Eberlein Drive. Well, in doing so, a lot of times when you play full court like that, you will naturally foul just because the game gets a little bit out of control.
Jordan Siebert at the line. He's got a game-high 13, tied with Jerome Randall, who in front all on his lonesome if he connects here. 14 for Siebert. Played in the German league last year. Talk more about the level of play league to league in the second half. And a reminder, we'll talk with international star and Richard Roby of Team Colorado at the break as well. Steal for the drive. 20 seconds left in the half. They'll fire it up anyways, and the rebound for Siebert. Brawlers can hold for the last shot and perhaps take the lead here, trailing by 1.
It's remarkable what they've done with no substitutions.
Siebert fires up a fadeaway, and that'll do it. Eberlein Drive hangs on to the lead at the break, 42-41. Taking on an undermanned but undeterred Broad Street Brawlers team.
I'm curious to see how they come out after the 10-minute break. And can the Broad Street Brawlers keep this intensity level with only 5 players? Eberlein Drive, a lot of talent on that roster. Wouldn't be surprised to see them come out and have a coming out party in the second half.
The most fashionable fans in basketball live in LA, and they're here witnessing TBT Round 1 action between Eberlein Drive and the Broad Street Brawlers. Sam Farmer, former NCAA head coach Richie Schuler, here with you at Cal State Los Angeles. An entertaining first half, kind of stalled out a little bit scoring-wise in the second quarter, but expect these two talented rosters to pick things up again and get back underway here for the second half in just a moment, Richie.
Now the Brawlers of Broad Street, they've shot 6 more field goal attempts. Why? Because they have 11 offensive rebounds and they continue to get second chance opportunities. Brawlers, only 5 players. Jordan Siebert, 14 of those points. Steve Taylor Jr., he has 9 of those points, but they've done a great job knocking down outside 3-point shots, attacking the basket. But on the other side, Eberlein Drive, Jerome Randall, he has 13 of his team's 42 points. You see what he can do. Drive the basketball, can create his own shot. He's very fast and crafty in the full court. He has been a talent and a very fun player to watch.
Look at the stats. You see a lot of similarities, which you'd come to expect from a one-point game. Points in the paint certainly dominated by the Broad Street Brawlers, though. That has been their silver bullet in this one. And as you mentioned, if you win the rebounding, you get a lot of extra opportunities, and those points in the paint come a lot easier.
It's very surprising. It's impressive with their limited bodies, but they are just bruisers down inside. If they can play and continue to go with that intensity level, the Eberlein Drive are going to have a difficult time getting those defensive rebounds. Now, Eberlein Drive, they're talented. They have a couple really good players that come off the bench, terrific basketball players with a lot of size. I mean, this is a squad that they don't have a ton of chemistry because they haven't played well together. But if they can get it figured out here in the second half, I think you'll see them move on to the next round.
Winner of this one gets Team Colorado, who was extremely impressive earlier today, registering a W over Kimchi Express, who, much like the Brawlers, were playing with only 5 guys. They wore down significantly in the second half. We'll see if the Brawlers can avoid that fate as we get back to action here, third quarter underway. Drive looks like they're going to a 2-3 zone here. Baptiste contested 3. Long rebound and a new shot clock for the Brawlers. Jordan Siebert, leading scorer, splits a double team, got hung up on the reverse side of the rim. Run out for Eberlein Drive, swatted away by Baptiste. Stay with the Brawlers.
And both these teams really trying to impose their will here in the second half. You always want to come out of that locker room and you want to be very dominant in that first 5 minutes. You lay that punch, figuratively speaking, in the first 5 minutes of play, and you see both these teams trying to get up and down a little bit, trying to get on a little bit of an early run in the third quarter here.
Ball's going to stay with the Brawlers. Donald Sloan thought he was pushed out of bounds. Baptiste pull up from the elbow. Air ball. Their offensive board. Garrett misses, and Amundsen finally gets the rebound for the Eberlein drive. Step back three. Rebound Kirk, and a foul before the shot will go on Broad Street. Darius Garrett hit with his first personal.
Interesting to hear how this Eberlein drive team came together. Matt Mitchell, the GM of this team, built the team from the ground up and just started using social media, direct messaging players, private messaging guys, and started to build and recruit the team. There's no alumni connections. It just earned players' trust. He's had in the past former lottery picks, dunk contest champions. And this isn't a guy that has basketball as a living. He's an orthopedic salesman in healthcare, a consulting company out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. And that's the great thing about the TBT. It is an open application event.
And in talking to some of the GMs, you know, there's a relationship between some of these players who are maybe looking for an opportunity to play against other elites and show off what they can do for a professional league, and these groups of fans that want a chance to play GM. The arrangement's like, look, we'll make sure our team's going to play. We'll get you the opportunity. You just got to sign up with me.
Right.
A lot of perfect marriages out there, and you know, players who maybe don't have the social media expertise to generate their own team can find a home, and GMs who don't have the, let's say, basketball acumen to go out there and play themselves, they can live out their dreams as a GM. Eberlein drive, turning up the defensive pressure the last couple of trips down the floor. Broad Street Brawlers not able to find any room. Baptiste fading away. Another rebound for Eberlein drive. They lead by 4. Randall, great look to Kirk. What ball movement, and Baptiste says no thanks. Kirk lofts it up and banks it home anyways. He's got 11.
Eberlein drive starting to come alive again. They have the player, just don't have the chemistry.
Foul away from the ball. Foul's on Donald Sloan, his second.
Let's go.
Baptiste hits from the corner.
Seems that Carl Baptiste is much better as a three-point shooter when he's set than when he's trying to go off the bounce. And with some of the penetrators they have on that team, if he just sits out there aside the three, relocates, finds his spot, he's going to get some open looks. That's a moving screen by him. That's a good call, I believe, by the official.
47-44, our score here. Broad Street Brawlers making a bid at our first upset of the day. In the West Regional, had an upset out in the South Regional in Richmond. The Wake Forest alumni team, Wake the Nation, they were not awake for an early start against Showtime. 68-55 the final score, and a 12-5 upset special we see all the time in the NCAA comes to play here in TBT.
Will be interesting when we get to that Super 16. I'm very curious to see how many of those teams are former college alum teams. And, you know, Wake Forest, you said, went down, but it just seems like these teams have a bit more chemistry and have they're not just players that don't know each other. A lot of them, even if they never play with each other, they're familiar with each other just because They're either alums of the program or they're current players that recently became alums of the program.
Alex Kirk with 13. Officials calling for a break in the action. And it looks like one of the Broad Street Brawlers might have been cut or showing some blood. They're going to have to get him to the trainer, get him taped up, and there's no sub to throw in.
Can they play with 4? NCAA rules. I believe if you start with 5, that's okay. If somebody fouls out or gets hurt. We've seen it in NCAA games before where 5-on-3 at some point. But I think he'll be okay if they can get him wrapped up.
Didn't take long at all. Brawlers ready to get back to work, trailing by 5. Just under 6 minutes left in the third quarter. And a reminder, we will not have a final 4 minutes per se of this game because the Elam ending will go into effect. They'll add 7 to the score of the team in front. At the first whistle under 4 minutes. And that'll be the target. Whoever hits it first wins the contest. Foul on Taylor Braun, his first personal, second team foul.
A year from now, I'm excited to see a highlight reel of all the different Elam endings and see what the study results have shown. Because there's going to be so many exciting endings. We've already seen 1 or 2 of those. Amundsen with the second effort, putting the ball back in. Again, the Elam ending, first stoppage, under 4 minutes of play. The game clock stops. Whoever has the leading score, they add 7 to their score. That is the target score, and you play to that. And it looks like in this game here, if it continues as such, we're going to have a pretty close game where, the winning team or the team in the lead may only have to get 7, and the other one may have to get 10, 12, 13. That's certainly not at the realm of possibility for a lot of teams down the stretch. Can't just run the clock out, and you can't just foul to stop the clock. There is no clock. Every game ends with a walk-off shot.
Nice look to Kirk, 7-footer with the slam.
Terrific drive. Bring in the defense, dump it down to your teammate. And Kirk, those hands ready. Big man, always got to have those hands ready and the strong finish.
He's got 15 points. He's starting to gain momentum on the glass. Randall trying to split the D. Some contact, no call, and it's out of bounds. It'll stay with Eberlein drive. (53-46) the score. Eberlein drive on top. Alex Kirk, now the team's leading scorer, 7 of his 15 here in the second half. A steal by Siebert. And 1. Siebert now with 18.
And you see a little bit of fatigue coming into play. And look at this steal by the fellow Cincinnatian, full court, hustling for the basketball, not giving up on an and one, and a chance for a three-point play. Boom, got it.
Played in the German league last year. Richie, from the international league's perspective, league to league, is there a continent, a country where it's just a little bit better or closer to the NBA?
Well, that's Europe. Yeah, I mean, there's leagues in Spain, Italy. A lot of there's a league or two in France that's really good. If you can play in that upper echelon of European basketball, that's where a lot of the guys that are fresh off an NBA contract go to, and that's where many of them start before they get an opportunity in the NBA.
And we've seen from a guy like, say, Amundsen, who, career in the NBA, he was about a 3 to 4 point per game guy. But in TBT, for instance, He's a 27-point per game guy. You know, if you see, say, 20 points per game in a certain country, is that worth what in Europe?
You know, I don't know. I think a good general manager or a head coach of an NBA team or any league for that matter is going to not just look at statistics, because that might just depend on how the team is structured. And style of play certainly plays a big part in your productivity from a statistical standpoint. So you can't always rely on those stats. You got to look at how does that person fit in that mold into the team that you have and the style of play that you play.
We got a break in the action. 3:01 left in the third quarter. Still a tight one. Eberlein Drive leading by 4. Out in Richmond, Virginia, the South Regional underway. Overseas Elites will be awaiting the winner of Monarch Nation Hilltop Dogs. That's the game going on right now. You see the upset, Wake the Nation taken down by the 12-seed Showtime. Examine the South Region. Gotta like Overseas Elite, right, Richie?
Love Overseas Elite. They have been outstanding. Obviously, they're the dynasty. They are the team to beat. No doubt about that. But you look at this other side of the regional, Ram Nation is a team I'm very excited to see. VCU alums. Anytime you have a college alumni team, it just seems like they're so well organized and structured and know each other so well. But remember that old team that went to the Final Four? 2011 VCU. Remember Joey Rodriguez and Jamal Schuler, Eric Maynard, Brandon Roselle, those guys? Look to see them in the TBT.
They became famous for havoc, that pace of play, which works in college. You don't see it much in the professional ranks.
No.
Can it work in TBT?
Absolutely it can. But will these players, 7 years older, still be able to go some havoc? That's the question.
Randall passes up the shot, gives it to Eldridge. He missed the 3. Amundsen getting some work in on the glass, but he can't connect. Another opportunity here for Eberlein Drive in blue. Great look to Braun, and there's a lid on the rim. Finally, it goes down. Lou Amundsen into double figures. He is the 3rd member of Eberlein Drive to get there, joining Randall and Kirk. Randall hasn't scored yet in the second half, though. Siebert, a flyby. He's got 21, game high.
They're just hanging around. Hanging around. Can you believe Broad Street Brawlers, 18 offensive rebounds? That's incredible. And that's what kept them hanging around in the first half. And now this 4-point deficit, those second chance opportunities will continue to give them second good chance looks, high percentage shots.
Amundsen pulling ahead of the pack, lays it in. I mean, the Eberlein Drive team is shooting about 10% better on the game than the Broad Street Brawlers are, but if you get the opportunity to take about 10 extra shots, it makes up for it.
Yeah, well, Eberlein Drive has taken about 8 less shots because of all the offensive rebounds for the Broad Street Brawlers. The bottom line is, yeah, Eberlein Drive shooting 10% better. He's making more.
Garrett with the lay-in makes it a 4-point game once again as we approach the 1 minute to go mark. Good steal for the Brawlers. Siebert, team's leading scorer with 21, fouled in transition. Not yet a bonus situation. Taylor Braun picking up the personal, his first.
I thought you said LeBron for a second.
Taylor Braun. LeBron is in Los Angeles,
LeBron.
but he is not here, at least that we know of, at Cal State LA.
Right. Well, the Brawlers of Broad Street are in pretty good shape. They have 2 timeouts left, and they're about to go into the 4th quarter.
Good steal. And Osiris Eldridge with an and 1 opportunity.
That is a backbreaker if you're the Broad Street Brawlers. What I was trying to say before that is you're in good shape because you have 2 timeouts left. You're about to enter the 4th quarter, so you're about to get a little bit of rest with those 5 players. That's all they have going into the 4th quarter, and then you can still use those 2 timeouts as needed. At the under 4-minute mark, you'll have another timeout, which will trigger the Elam ending. So Broad Street Brawlers, if they can kind of hang around here and maybe keep it within 4 points going into the 4th quarter, I think they're going to be okay. But they've got to use, see, they're making some mistakes. And this is all a lot of mental mistakes because they're fatigued.
Amundsen tied up. penalized for bringing the ball down. Arrow still in favor of Eberlein Drive, leading by 6.
And see with the Brawlers, you're starting to see their hands down on defense. They're not blocking out as much as they were. The intensity level on the ball is not what it was before. And they're making some mental errors, turning the basketball over.
Randall with the handle, splits the defense all the way to the 10 and then poked away from behind by Steve Taylor Jr. Quick reflexes of Jerome Randall. Pretty fancy. Back to live action, less than 30 seconds left in the quarter. Osiris Eldridge finds an angle.
Eberlein Drive starting to pull away a little bit. Here the Broad Street Brawlers hold this for the last shot.
Eldridge getting on the floor. Ball's loose again off the miss. Randall's got it ahead for the easy lay-in.
And that's why you try to hold the basketball for the last shot, because now, instead of getting 2 more points on your own, now you're down by 10. You gave too much time for Eberlein Drive to get another shot up.
Donald Sloan into double figures. He has 10. That's the lead for Eberlein Drive. Trying to put their foot on the gas and put their foot on the throats of the Broad Street Brawlers. Final quarter coming up next from LA. Round 1 of TBT 2018. Eberlein Drive with a 10-point lead as we enter the 4th quarter. Sam Farber, Richie Schuler here with you. And Richie, we said it from the moment we set foot here at the gym and saw all the logos, all the stuff going on here at Cal State LA. The logos are awesome. The jerseys are great. This is just cool stuff, man. Go out there and pick yourself out some gear.
Well, you know, that's when some of these startup teams with the TBT a couple years ago, they had no business being on the court with a lot of these professional and former big-time college basketball players. But they're like, hey, you know, like the Comici Express, we just wanted to be out there to have an opportunity to get free uniforms and be on the same court with these guys. And now it's become like a very competitive tournament. And some of these teams, like the Comici Express, won a game last night going into the first round today. Starting to be more and more competitive as we go along.
Quick turnover out of the quarter break, and Randall dropping in 2 more. His first points of the second half. He's had impacts in other ways, though. It's an 8-0 run right now for Eberlein Drive. They have stretched their lead to a dozen.
Well, they have really capitalized on Broad Street Brawlers' turnovers. 13 turnovers, 22 points off them for Eberlein Drive, and they've really turned that heat up on here in the last few minutes of play.
Great look, Randall to Kirk.
Kirk with the presence of mind to catch that as there's another turnover. As he was rolling is what I was going to say. The pressure by Eberlein Drive. This is a good opportunity for Broad Street Brawlers to maybe burn one of these timeouts and get refocused.
They might have to. It's a double-digit lead still. Eberlein Drive up 11. Alex Kirk with 19. There's a triple from Jordan Siebert. He's the leading scorer, 24 for the former Dayton Flyer. Sloan trying to answer. And out of bounds. It'll go back to the Brawlers.
Well, this is interesting. The strategy with these 2 timeouts remaining for the Brawlers. Are they looking to save these timeouts when they're in the Elam ending time? I mean, again, this is a brand new thing, so strategies galore. Like, everybody's going to be trying something new and do things the way that they feel best.
As a coach, how would you strategize heading towards the Elam ending?
I think I would keep one, but I'd probably burn one of these others as needed. And right now, like these kind of breaks like this is just breaking your back. And they had 2 guys down the floor before all 5 of the Brawlers. Hey, here, it's time to burn one.
And they'll do just that. Remember, Broad Street Brawlers do not have a bench. That has really been a theme. And it's been a theme for TBT going back, too. I mean, a lot of these teams, that they get assembled, you don't know who's going to show up or who's going to be available. So the best ability can be availability. Let's listen into the Brawlers.
Look, give him the ball at the post. Let's get an easy bucket or a foul. All right? Even if he's got to come get the ball, double you come get the ball. Either fake it and get him down the post. Give me a man, yo, I need a fucking bucket or a basket. All right? Unless it's a guaranteed on board. Let's go, guys. Play ball. Let's go. What?
They need buckets, but more importantly, they need stops. And most importantly, they need to not turn the basketball over. Those turnovers are leading to easy baskets and this run for Eberlein Drive. So, yeah, they need to get buckets in a hurry now because the Elam ending is going to take effect after the 4-minute mark. But I think they're going to have to really start amping up their defensive pressure. And certainly on defense, they need to play with active hands and try to get as many deflections as they can.
Out of the timeouts, Steve Taylor Jr. gets a bucket. Makes it a single-digit deficit, 71-63. Winner of this one gets Team Colorado for a chance to play Gale Force in the Super 16 out in Atlanta. Randall hanging with the bigs.
Well, that's the thing. Baptiste is 6'8". Randall is 5'10". There's 10 inches there. Baptiste not applying much ball pressure at all, which gave Randall the confidence and the space to get a full head of steam to take it to him. A lot of that's just fatigue. You're not seeing hardly any ball pressure on the defensive end.
One thing I've heard from coaches a lot when they talk about some of the more diminutive of stature players, they're used to playing at that size.
Yeah.
So they're fully aware that they're 10 inches shorter, but it's not like they got done playing in a high school game against other guys that were 5'10". They've been playing against these guys for the last several years, in case of many of these players, or a guy like Randall for the last decade and a half.
That's their norm.
Offensive foul. Illegal screen. Taylor Braun. Second personal.
If you're Eberlein Drive, you just need to stay solid. No turnovers like that. Just stay solid. Keep doing what you've been doing the last few minutes. In Broad Street Brawlers, you need to take the best high percentage shot you can get. Elam ending starts in about 2 minutes. So you need to get as many stops as you can, score. You need to pick up the pressure defensively.
Loose ball off the miss. Siebert bangs in to Liam McMorrow, and 7'2" Canadian pick up the personal.
So this is good here. This stops the clock, gives a little bit of rest time for the Brawlers. If I'm coaching this team, I'm taking everybody off that free throw line, and I'm getting them set up to go full court press. Don't even risk getting an offensive foul trying to go for it. I understand coaches, what he's thinking right here is, hey, we need to get an offensive rebound for another opportunity. But with the size and the experience that Eberlein Drives has in there, I think it's going to be very difficult. So, yeah, set up your press now and go full court with it. You can't just let Donald Sloan walk the basketball up here. There's not enough time for that.
26 points for Jordan Siebert. Keeping the Broad Street Brawlers in this one. They trail by 8. Lou Amundsen just checked in and didn't find the double team. Fortuitous bounce. Line drive can't capitalize. A run out for the Brawlers. Siebert uncontested to the 10.
Pick up. Apply some pressure.
Roughly a minute away from the Elam ending going into effect. Randall.
That offensive rebound, that's a backbreaker because now they can burn 30 more seconds. Brawlers aren't pressuring the basketball. They can just dribble it out.
There's a triple for Donald Sloan. Third of the game, first this half for the 5-year NBA veteran.
Elam ending the next dead ball after the 4-minute mark. And we'll take Eberlein Drive score, add 7 points, and whoever gets to that score first will win the basketball game. Clock will be turned off.
Siebert in and out. A miss, and a late whistle. Some key points right here for the Broad Street Brawlers. You cannot change what that final number, target number, is going to be after 4 minutes, but you can affect how close you are to it before you get there.
Sure can. And again, the backstory. Nick Elam, basketball super fan, Reds groundskeeper by night, college professor, emailed the TBT 2 years ago a huge PowerPoint presentation, almost 70 pages, and talked about how he had DVR'd 2,000 NBA and NCAA basketball games, and only 1.5% of the time, 1.5% of the time, he found that teams actually came back to tie or to win the basketball game. So why not take the clock out of it? Why not take deliberate fouling out of it and have a fun way to end the game? The mathematical calculation said, you know what, give the leading team 7 points. That's the target score. Whoever gets there first wins the game. And I can't wait to see after the season, after the tournament's over, how many come from behind Elam ending comeback wins will we have? It's going to be an exciting stat to see.
Next whistle will force the Elam ending. Randall fouled, and that's going to kick it into gear. So the Elam ending target number is going to be 86. Whoever hits that first is going to 86 the other side. Move on to round 2 and a date with Team Colorado. Who's going to get there? Here it is, the moment everyone's been talking about. Sports Talk Radio, national television, the Elam ending in effect. First team to 86 will win this contest between Eberlein Drive and the Broad Street Brawlers. Eberlein Drive, their NBA alumni, leading the way. Lou Amundsen, 16. Alex Kirk, 19. Got a 10-point advantage. They take on Broad Street Brawlers for the right to face Team Colorado tomorrow.
Somebody's going to make a game-winning bucket today.
That's right.
Big-time drama on August 3rd. Somebody's going to make a game-winning shot live on ESPN for how much?
$2 million. A $2 million shot.
You almost sounded like Dr. Evil when you said that.
Osiris Eldridge fires up the 3, hits, and Eberlein Drive now 4 points away. Siebert's had a great contest, 28 points for the former Dayton Flyer. And give him 30.
Remember, if you're the Brawlers, you still have a timeout to burn. Eberlein Drive still has 4 of them, all of them. Should be 3, actually. The one didn't get transferred over from the first half.
Wait, is it 6 points?
Step back 3.
It is 6, you're right.
Still rattling around.
Yeah, 6 points.
And the rebound secured by the Brawlers. Baptiste facing a double. Ball's deflected. Here comes the drive. Randall out in front. He'll do it himself.
One more to the end. Target score, 86.
This will be the first time our side didn't win. We've had the winner every game.
Loose ball picked up by the drive. This could be it. Sloan for the win. Eberlein Drive. Their hopes alive of winning $2 million. They will take on Team Colorado tomorrow for a spot in the Super 16.
Think you really saw Eberlein Drive improve as this game went on. Lots of talent, not much chemistry, really haven't hardly played together, hardly at all. But you saw from first half to second half, they made some serious strides. It was a 1-point game at halftime, and they come out of this with a 15-point victory.
Eberlein Drive taking advantage of their bench, taking advantage of the depth. I'd say overall there were certainly spurts where the Broad Street Brawlers, it wasn't just Jordan Siebert, but him in particular, were able to keep up with Eberlein Drive. But in the end, they were able to throw waves of talented players at him, and eventually it was too much.
I tell you this, Eberlein Drive team, they have depth. They've got a couple guys off the bench. They have 2 guys that have played 5 to 10 years in the NBA, and they will move on to play Team Colorado.
Couple of 5-year TBT vets going head-to-head. And it is Eberlein Drive scoring the victory. We're going to try and get a moment here with Jerome Randall, who was the co-team leader with 19 points today. Get a quick minute with him and see what his thoughts are. And facing Team Colorado next, as well as the Elam ending too. We'll hopefully be able to pull one of them out here in just a moment. Reminder, coming up next, the top half of the bracket here at the West Regional will be on display, including Team Challenge ALS. Sons of Westwood will be in action later tonight. So a lot to look forward to here from Los Angeles. Break the huddle here and we will get Jerome Randall over to our table to talk about today's victory. He had 19 points, the all-time leading scorer at Cal. About to join us here, Sam Farber, Richie Schuler here with you. And joining us now on the mic is Eberlein Drive point guard Jerome Randall. Jerome, you lead the way, 19 points today, co-leader on your team. I want to talk about the Elam ending. It's been the talk of sports talk radio all over the place. What do you think about this new way to end a game?
I think it's competitive. I think it gives the opponents a chance to come back, and it makes it a lot more competitive. I like it.
This is your second time with Eberlein Drive, correct?
No, this is my first. I played
first
with
time.
Bradley last year.
Does this squad have the opportunity to go on and compete against not just Team Colorado, but to get to the Super Sweet 16 and beyond?
I believe so. I think we have a lot of weapons, and guys starting to find their way. The thing about TBT, guys just have to play together. It's no MVP in TBT. So if you think of just figuring out a way to just help the team win basketball games, then I think we'll be fine.
Jerome, congrats on the win. 19 points. You got Team Colorado tomorrow.
Yep, thank you.
This was a fun one. A big W for Eberlein Drive. They survive and advance in TBT. And again, they'll take on Team Colorado. We'll have the top half of the bracket here from LA coming up in just a bit. On behalf of my broadcast partner, Richie Schuler, our entire crew from Tupelo Raycom in association with ESPN, I'm Sam Farber saying it has been a pleasure and a privilege bringing this one to you. Eberlein Drive. They'll take on Team Colorado tomorrow for a spot in the Super 16.